live.
And we're live talking about life.
Yes, we're live and we were talking about life. Marco tesori, che cosa per questo giorno, bello ragazzo?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, according to where you're in the world. And in the moment you look at this live, we watch this live. How are you, Rudrani, today?
I'm fabulous. I am more me than I've ever been, and I don't know what that is. It's pretty interesting. I'm enjoying it. How about you?
I'm good. I'm having a very interesting day. I'm 2 days before a foundation, and there is a lot of energies, a lot of interesting things. And how does it get any better? Right?
I love it. I love it.
And I was quite perplexed about the title of this live. Where is the kindness in gaslighting? So let me ask you the question that comes from the title. Where is the kindness in gaslighting?
That is one that gives a lot of people a wedgie, Marco.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you the reason why I even came up with it, because and you might hate me for this.
Why not?
Why not? You're one of the most honoring men, because in this reality, that's the body you chose, that I know. And your kindness is such a contribution, at least in my world. And I watch how you be with people. And kindness can be a manipulation. It can be gaslighting. In your case, you're a little more authentic than that energy. But I will say this about a lot of gaslighters, put it in quotes. A lot of times they use kindness to manipulate in a way that is very much like gaslighting.
Oh,
Like, for
thanks.
example, I mean, are you feeling me though? Do you see where that could be a possibility?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. It's like I moved the Queen in with me at the end of 2020. And, it took us a while to get our song and dance going because she was so used to being independent. It's 2023 and 2022, and it's coming up her birthday in May. Her birthday, she was 89, and it took us quite a while to get the rhythm. But I could perceive that there were areas where she was feeling.
I just want to say that, like, for the people that might don't know that, the Queen is Rudrani Mother. We
Oh,
call her
yeah.
the Queen. Like, it's not the actual Queen. Is she assembled the Queen? We called her the Queen. It's her mom.
Before I even go further, can you tell them how she got the name the Queen?
Well, simply, I saw her assemble a Queen little lady walking around the castle, creating chaos. And I approached her and be like, I thought for a moment you were the Queen. Thank you for being here with us. And she didn't know how to receive it, but that creates a kind of, it creates a different energy, creates like a different possibility. And so this little old lady, super, super cute, resembling the Queen of England, start to join our lunch and start to join our class, even like after class. And there was kind of the creation of a little play and so much. Yeah, that's the Queen, and so much.
Sure face.
Joy.
I'm not
That's the
doing
Queen.
so well. Yeah, there
You're
she
good.
goes. That's her.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
So
is a picture of us at the beach. So anyway, yeah.
it
I
started as
swore.
a game. It became like a laugh, and it became like today a different possibility.
Yeah.
And from then, we called her the Queen.
She thought we were making fun of her at first. And we were. And now she loves it to the point to where I actually purchased her an 18 karat gold crown charm that she wears with 2 carats of diamonds. I said, for the Queen, you must have a crown. So
Story. And also, the thing is in my awareness, at least in my point of view, it started as a fun because actually seeing this little lady like followed by servers in a castle saying hi was actually for me was hilarious. But then the idea was sharing with her what she's actually create in all this because that was a creation, and
Mhm.
so have fun and joy all together. And she really, at a certain point, received this And so she started to play to be the queen, and that was fantastic. And so there was no separation anymore. Like
Mm.
she was happy to be that and to be more than what she allowed herself to do. And it was like such of a joy to see like everybody like look at the queen and taking photo with the queen and having lunch with the queen. It was fantastic. Like it was actually a magic that day.
She totally was manipulating us with it too. She would walk into the room and go, "Well, the queen has arrived." Actually, she said it with an accent as lovely as Marco. She says, "The queen has arrived." Because my mother's from Italy. She has this beautiful accent that, opens so many doors for her, as does for this kind gentleman I'm talking to that has the sexiest Italian accent ever, I'm sure. None of you women agree with me, and men. Anyway, if you can receive that, Marco.
I do.
Back to
Certo, certo.
So let me get back to the little story about the queen. So
So you
she's,
moved with the queen, and
yeah.
it's kind of like being at the beginning a little bit to set up.
Oh, goodness
And then,
gracious. She's feisty, to say the least. She was like, "I feel like such a burden. I'm gonna go back home." And I'm like, "Mother, we're selling your home." And then she would say, and I said, "Okay, go back to your home. If you're not happy here, who else are you gonna live with, lady?" Because I mean, I'm one of six, and the other five are really boring. And she knows it. I mean, she and I are the ones that travel around the world. We do all the things together. So, needless to say, she would look for ways to actually be a contribution to me because she's beginning to feel as though she's not really contributing. I'm having to take care of everything. It's different driving in Nashville than it is in a little podunk town called Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where they built the nuclear bomb. I mean, that's how we ended up there. My dad was a scientist. Um, so, she lived her entire life, well, from college to me moving in here in that house longer than how old I am, which is crazy. So I get it, and she fashioned it into exactly what she wanted, and now she's here in Nashville, in my home, where now I'm paying her bills, I'm doing all this stuff, and she just feels like, why am I here? So I started doing some gaslighting that I knew would actually contribute because I knew that if I didn't give her a purpose, it was going to be rough for her to live here. So the kindness in that is I went out on all the social medias. My watch keeps talking to me, and was like, piano teacher, students best in the state in all competitions. Um, Studied at Giuseppe Verdi in Milano, Italy. Blah blah blah. Before you know it, and this started in COVID, she started having all these students. So she had something to contribute to. And then, she'd cook sometimes and she made this pasta sauce and we had some friends over and that's it. I can't make pasta sauce anymore. From now on, you are in charge of the pasta sauce. Now, it doesn't really sound like gaslighting, but gaslighting is a manipulation. And the kindness of it is allowing her to have an identity that she requires, to have a purpose, to have a sense of belonging,
mhm.
you know? And even sometimes when she would kind of do pathetic, I'd be like, "Lady, what are you doing here? I know you're much better than this. You're the queen. I mean, come on. You think I'm going to buy this story? Quit playing pathetic. It's not working for me. Until you can show me better, you got to go to your room." And, people are like, "Look at me. How can you talk to your mom?" And you've heard me talk to my mom. I'm pretty much just me
Yeah.
all the time. And that's the gift. And what if you, being the gift, being what's required, even if it's gaslighting, even if it's a kindness, could actually create? So that's the
Thank you.
kindness of
Let
gaslighting.
me let me ask you the following question. So
Yeah.
first of all, for everybody that is watching,
Mhm.
Rudrani is one of the few people that received the authorization to receive the okay to actually do classes about gaslighting, classes and calls. Gaslighting is such of a delicate topic in access consciousness, and only a few people, which let's say, are allowed to actually facilitate about this because
Yeah.
it's actually very delicate. So the difference can be subtle about perception, about like what creates, how to use it, what to do. Especially because like we learned that gaslighting is not personal.
Yeah.
That often the people that actually do gaslighting is because they grow up in gaslighting environment, and so that's what they got. And so
Mm.
unless they get clear what gaslighting is, they will actually use it because it's just like one of the tools they have.
Right.
So now, my question for you is, could you actually spell for us what's the difference among manipulation and gaslighting?
Hmm. That's a very good question. Because, and this is what I will say before even getting into the semantics of it, I find that a lot of people find a heaviness or a wrongness in both. So in 2022, the most talked about topic, at least in the US, I don't know if it's the world, was gaslighting. It's like people were finally asking questions about it. And manipulation, we all do it. Parents do it with their children. Children certainly do it with their parents. I personally don't mind being manipulated. You know, I like it when somebody says, "Oh, you're brilliant, Rudrani. I love the way you blah, blah, blah." Or you're looking fine today. Or, I've also heard nobody does it like you do. So you should, and it's a manipulation. They don't want to do it. They want me to do it. And, I actually enjoy it. It's like when, it's like with facilitating classes. To me, it's not a job. I absolutely adore, facilitating classes, as I'm sure you do. And so those are the types of manipulations, again, that are a kindness. Now, gaslighting, technically speaking, and I don't know if any of you have actually watched the now I've forgotten the names of the people that are in the gaslighting movie. We'll have the links below in case you guys are curious. But it's like a classic case where somebody needles someone else to overpower them, making them believe that their reality isn't real. Technically, that's what gaslighting is. But anytime you're trying to manipulate someone else to get what you want is a form of gaslighting. So how are they different? It's subtle. A lot of times when it comes to manipulations, both parties know what's going on. It's like, "Oh, honey, I would really appreciate if you take the garbage out, blah, 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 blah." And and then the blowjob comes or whatever it is. It's just, well, I don't know. Just
So
saying. Just
I think
saying.
the things in that your household are definitely more Italian than in mine. Anyway, it doesn't get any better.
How does it? And I don't even know why I went there, but the point being that, we've all learned manipulation. I'll tell you, the queen was a very good teacher of manipulation. And,
Totally.
when I finally got, well, for example, I have a sister that lives in Canada. This is just one story where she said to me, "It's actually cheaper if we stay longer. The flight's less expensive." And I'm like, "Lady, yeah, but the hotel, might make up the difference for that. I know what you're doing. Why don't you instead tell me exactly what you want and I'll see if I can make it work for us? Because I know you just want to be there longer."
Which is actually, this also is the part where personally I
Mm,
see that sometimes that's the way people got used to express.
yeah.
Because
Well,
like a lot of time, and I, again, this is just my point of view. I see that like manipulation can also be um, not easier, but like more in the realms, more in the kind of like spectrum of like tools that women have. Because for women, has been never actually allowed, women have never been allowed actually to ask what they want and to
yeah.
show what they desire. So the manipulation was the way to kind of really not saying that, but still a way to ask for, or a way to show it that like something have an advantage or something that would better
Mm,
without us to get involved. But this really was the way to show the what they were desire. But
right.
because they was not actually allowed, then they have to use a different way,
Yeah.
which
Gosh.
is actually the part where when I find out that really gaslighting and manipulation are not personal, I really start to look at that and I was like, oh my goodness, okay, they're not personal, they're not wrong, they're not bad. They're just like tools, abilities, way to communicate. Now I have another question for you then.
Okay. And I just want to say before you go there, wow, your awareness on that is spot on. And I'm hoping that it's changing, but a lot of women feel as though they have to justify the way that they're acting to get what they want because they don't know any other way. So for them, that is their tools, but there are other ways. So,
Yeah, but also like I would say there is a lot of households and there is a lot of education and there's a lot of like cultural and social type of contest where women still cannot express or they've never been invited to express themselves. They've never been like actually invited to express what they desire. So obviously they have to find different ways. So
yeah,
if we look at education, if you also like with our, with our partner, with our sister, with our daughter, with our wife, we start to actually invite them to express even more than that, more of that, like asking question, even though like how you think, what would you like to, what would you desire? Oh, I like to do this. And what about you? If there is this inclusion, and it is actually encouragement to express themselves, how much more will be kind of even faster sometime.
yeah,
And by the other way, how much actually men express that they want to be manipulated. So, we
yeah.
are yeah, but like truly, I know a lot of like gentlemen out there, some gentle, some less, but they're actually looking for manipulation. And when they get it, they can be victimized by it, and they make them like the happier in the world because they
Right,
have so much in common with other men, and so on. And so
right.
it's just like really about like if nothing is wrong, and we just like look what happened, and we see actually what worked most. Because some people don't even actually want to be like open and like up to say what they want. They prefer to be manipulated what other people want. So they have someone to blame. Hallelujah. Anyway,
I,
the original question for you was, so can we say that like the difference among manipulation and gaslighting is that gaslighting is actually a way to diminish someone?
yeah, well, it's to get control over someone.
Okay.
So
So
definitely diminishing. That is the energy of gaslighting. If we were to put it in context, anytime you're trying to have power over someone else, you're going to do whatever it takes to create that. And manipulation can be a two-way street. I mean, we do it in dating, we do it in so many different ways. And we're aware the difference is, well, my interesting point of view, the difference is you're aware when somebody's trying to manipulate you. When you're being gaslit, you actually start questioning your own reality. You're in that space of, oh my gosh, maybe they do know more than I do. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I don't really know what's going on, where they've actually taken power over you. And the thing is, and this is the part that seems to be the hardest for people to get. If you're not willing to gaslight, you will be gaslit. You will be. And I actually use the term with Celeste. I said, why are you trying to gaslight me? I'll have my siblings visiting, for example, and she'll start going through all this stuff about how I'm so bossy and how I'm this and it has to be my way or the highway and all this. Da, da. And I'll just look at her like, lady, why are you gaslighting me? You know that you get whatever you want. You spoiled rotten. What you doing? Why are you lying? And they all now are starting to get it. They're like, are you okay? Because I couldn't handle her more than 3 or 4 days. I don't know how you're doing it. I said, because I'm an allowance of her.
no.
I know she's going to show up the way she shows up. And for me to expect anything different, I'm the idiot. I'm the one that isn't being aware, you know?
Well,
So,
thank you for that, because actually, how much also like when we allow ourselves to know what's going on, that's where like we cannot be actually gaslighted.
right.
Because like if you just like notice that someone is trying to do stuff to diminish yourself, your awareness, or to make you question,
Hmm.
what if like it's not actually a red flag about like, oh, they're wrong, they want to do something against us, but like, oh, that's gaslighting, cool. And then really there is a possibility of like, what can I do? What I want to do with that?
Yeah.
I
She
want to
asked me what it meant, and I was like, "You're making me look bad," because I knew that she could receive. I said, "You're making me look bad in front of the other siblings." And then the truth came out. She said, "Well, I chose to live with you, and I don't want them to feel bad." And I said, "Mom, they feel like they won the lottery because none of them wanted you, just me. And you wouldn't want to live with those losers anyway. So why are you complaining, and why are you doing this charade?" So it's just interesting.
think
Fortunately, I'm grateful that I could actually have a conversation like that with a mia mamma.
that's
Seriously.
it, which is actually fantastic, as like I don't know many parents will be that kind of like willing to receive all that like in advance. But still, I think your household is very Italian. It's very interesting. So could you, could you give
I
could
am
give
100% Italian, Marco. it's not just the Queen. My dad was also from Sicily, so yeah.
That is getting better.
Kinda
So
good.
you're definitely more Italian than me. Beside that, would you give us maybe like a couple of other example of like when gaslighting then can be a kindness? Because
Sure.
actually, especially because of last year popularity of the word, like yes, manipulation, but especially gaslighting has a such of like bad connotation, and it's something that like is it something wrong if you do it, and if you do it, you became wrong, and it's
Mhm.
something that you never have to do, and it's something where like so there is these things of like, and I'm asking this because I notice for other stuff that when we are in we try to avoid something
Mm.
where we are not willing to be aware of it.
Well,
So
that's
wherever we put a stigma, for example, on gaslighting, will be so trying to be aware that we don't do it, there will be kind of an avoidance of anywhere else that is in the world because we
true.
judge it, and so we separate with that.
Yeah,
So
you put the nail on the head there. Anytime you avoid anything or you defend anything, you can, well, you'll be the effect of it, period, because you're stuck. You can't get out of it.
yeah,
And that's the issue. The issue.
and you cannot be strong. You can only be wrong. Wrong.
Right. Look, I went right. And what if your wrongness was
Exactly.
wrongness, right? So it's like, and everything's the opposite of what it appears to be. Because how could gaslighting actually be a kindness? Well, there, okay, a kindness to you. What if it's required for you to gaslight someone else so that you don't diminish yourself? Because once you allow them to have power over you, you're allowing yourself to align and agree with your diminishment. You're agreeing to cut your arms and legs off because you feel like, well, okay, that's the way I'm going to be accepted in this, even if I'm not wrong, but I must be wrong because they say I'm wrong. And the only way I can keep them in my life is if I continue to be wrong. And it perpetuates this whole thing. But what if you were willing to give it right back? Be that strongness, be the infinite being you be the valuable product. If you're willing to actually acknowledge that, hey, this person's fucking with me, I'm going to fuck back with them
And not in a good.
because that's an honoring of myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, fuck in a bad way, not a good way. So,
That's funny, like Italian talk. Uh, well, no, thank you, because actually is so interesting as like oftentimes we have sort of a strong definition of what kindness is.
mm,
And there is something about this is a kind of like old parallel. It's just like open so many to conversation, but like something that as I approach and I chose the specialization of like X-Men, I heard Gary say that really kind of like open up and switch something for me was like, and I'm talking about X-Men because it's kind of like an extreme case, but it's not just X-Men. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of
mhm.
humanoid, especially humanoid uh,
Yes.
men and ladies. It's about we decide and we pick that like kindness
Mm.
is only what we can choose for with other people, but it's never what we choose for us.
Speak more on that, Marco.
Well, kindness is something that we keep running, and sometimes we so much in fear and in worry that we are not kind enough
Mm.
that we try to prove how kind we are. I've been doing this for like long time. Well, because not truly, because also I've been told so many times that I wasn't kind.
Yeah,
It was a manipulation and a gaslighting to get what someone else wanted. I had it in
right.
my family, I had it like in relationship, I had that. So because the kindness part was so vulnerable for me, then is was enough to say, well, you've been unkind here, and it would change.
Mm.
And this is interesting because this can only happen when the way you envision kindness, the point of view about kindness is what you be and do with other people. Because if you choose kindness for you and with you first, which take it to a level of intimacy, all the five elements and also level of intimacy in being like very honest, because
Mhm.
honest with you is what allow to be kind with yourself.
Yeah,
And when you're kind with yourself, the biggest invitation for the biggest kindness you be is because you became the invitation for others to be kind with themselves first,
I love
and
that.
then you be the kindness. So you're actually becoming a lot more aware of like what type of kindness is required or what is actually required to create and to be kindness. And sometimes kindness um, can be just like be that intense as someone should receive to change
Yes.
something, or
Mhm,
the allowance to actually receive and be the space, or
mhm.
the kindness of like offer your contribution and offer your help. And sometimes also the kindness to shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
let people stay where they want to stay because
Exactly.
they didn't ask for anything. So that's a very, for me it's a very interesting conversation, and it's very kind of like current conversation for me, contemporary stuff I'm looking at, and I'm be like, well, that would probably allow me to be a better facilitator, but also like to invite people to something different. Because when you choose kindness for you, I don't think anyone can gaslight you on that. Not on that, at least.
Yeah.
What you
I
know.
love the way you put it, especially because you brought up the 5 elements of intimacy, and it takes a lot of vulnerability to actually be kind to you first, you
Yep.
know? And that's an honoring, you know? I can almost switch those 2. It's a beautiful way that you put it, and when I look at the kindness of, well, like I said before, you're one of the most genuine, kind people that I know, are honoring people, I just wanna say, and I adore you for it, and I know that you've been, exploring this conversation a lot, so I wanna acknowledge that piece as well, and I do love the X-Men classes. I am, very close to getting my own certification for X-Men, and I avoided those classes like the plague because I thought, "Those are freaks of magnitude. It cannot be me. I am not gonna go there." And that was the avoiding and defending piece of it, right? But I remember, and this was years ago, but it got me on the journey. It was like the very beginning of Access for me was, 2003, and it wasn't until 2011 that I took foundation and level, 1 and 2, which is now all a foundation. Where they went into this whole piece, and this is before we were doing the gaslighting stuff, about how when you decide that someone can't afford something or someone can't do this or whatever, which is still another form of gaslighting, even if it's gaslighting light, because it makes you look good, that you're being a superior asshole. Because what you're doing is you're keeping them stuck in your point of view that they can't create greater. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, I am such an asshole. I was a meditation teacher at the time. Well, we still do the expanding up exercise, but I had so many points of view about how someone should meditate, how they should sit, what they should eat. I was vegetarian for 11 years. I was vegan for like 7 of them. I had so many points of view and I impaled them on so many people. And quite honestly, they all probably thought I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, except for the people that saw me as their guru. There lies in that aspect of being the freaking asshole of magnitude that I was. Because I was saying, one size fits all, do it my way or the highway. You guys are idiots, yada, yada, yada. And where is the kindness in that? And so when I heard that whole piece about, you're being an asshole when you actually don't allow people to create greater, if they're asking for it, because I get it also. Sometimes you got to shut up and walk away. Um, hey, if they're not choosing it, can you be an allowance of that? That's a kindness. So, I mean, I love this conversation so much. There's so many ebbs and flows with it, and when it comes right down to it, you guys, it's about following the energy. Hey, when is it required for me to be intense? Hey, when is it required for me to be kind to me, to them, to this situation? Should I shut my pie hole and walk away? What's gonna create more? And that's where, God love him, Gary Douglas. Well, I love him too. It's that space of when you're willing to follow the energy, even when it looks like you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and everybody else thinks you are insane, you follow your knowing. And that's, you follow your knowing if the kindest thing to do for you or for the other or for the situation or whatever it is, allowance, is to gaslight. So I don't know if that helps. Did that I think we came full circle.
We did. And thank you. This was really insightful, beautiful, entertaining. surprising live. Really, thank you for come out in this live with me and explore this conversation because personally, I see that we often function with a lot of insanities, from a lot of insanities, from a lot of gaslighting, from a lot of like anti-consciousness. And when
Mm.
we embark in this journey, a never-ending journey of like access consciousness and like tools for the consciousness and so, gaslighting is one of the really kind of like topic that allow us to switch button and to kind of like have more clarity in topics that probably we still feel guilty for or stupid for or asshole for, and um, we might discover we be or we might just discover, well, okay, thank you, I didn't have this awareness before, now I do, and what can I create?
I
And
guess
so
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, you go.
I was just gonna say, for me personally, when I talk about this topic, I'd like to empower people to not to not to look at gaslighting not as something that's a negative or a positive. We place so much stigma on it. I'm putting it in quotes.
That's relevance, yes.
And what if we could just look at it as an interesting point of view and say, hey, what is actually required here? You know? So, I mean, as you were saying that, it's kind of like what I find is a lot of people are like, how dare you? What do you mean I have to learn how to gaslight or I will be gaslit? Well, so perhaps you're getting something out of and maybe you're enjoying it or whatever it is. And I don't want to stir the pot. I'm just saying that the society I mean, it was the it word for 2022, gaslighting. The Dixie Chicks actually released an album and the title song was gaslighting. I was like, nobody even knew what the frick it was back, whatever. And now we're actually having a conversation that, in my interesting point of view, is, I hope, helpful and a contribution for you guys.
I
So
bet it is. I bet it is. And also, well, let's say that, let's announce this. You will have a series coming up. You have a series coming up about gaslighting.
I
Uh,
do.
yeah, and it's great because actually, we there are like so many different topics that these classes, these course, they will tap into. And so my point is also like what maybe we've been resisting, or maybe what we don't want to know, and that these classes will contribute to have more awareness. Maybe in the places also we're avoiding independence without knowing that we're avoiding independence, or we're perpetuating because we just like basically grew up with. And so we couldn't even see it at a certain point
Right.
or recognize it at a certain point. So I think this is actually very like such of a gift and such of a contribution. Thank you for so much for you to choose this, to choose this creation, to choose to
Yeah.
invite. I'm really happy to have this live with you today. And I wonder also like what if really these will were the tools that will create a lot more awareness and also a lot more choice.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And just so you know, folks, I might have a series of gaslighting calls coming up, but Marta and I are going to be co-creating some other gems with this kindness gentleman topic that I am so looking forward to seeing what actually shows up. So know that that's coming in the very near future as well. And thank you so much, Marco, for embodying that energy. It's a delight to play with.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I have I'm actually creating planning more than creating at the moment, but it's still planning is a part of creation.
Yep.
Something about like it's not just about gentlemen, but it's also like the relationship among like men and women and what men can be for women and also for themselves. And let's say like the kindness of also choosing to be yeah, to be an invitation to some different possibility with kindness, with receiving, with men, with women, with like really what else is possible on this topic that we didn't explore yet.
Mm.
And Rodrani, thank you for your support because also like conversation we had before that has been really supportive and contributive. So yeah, the venture goes on and what else is possible truly. And thank you for listening. If you have question, choose a class with this lady because there will be a lot of fun and there will be a lot of awareness, a lot of enlightenment, and something of Rudrani I can say, she never stepped back. She does not. She's not programmed for. She
Yeah.
always fast forward and she always like she always present there and she can put herself in question in like look at what's going on, but she's not stepping back. And that's I think is a great, great capacity. Truly.
Oh, sorry, not sorry. Thank you for that, Marco. Gosh, I really look forward to seeing what we're creating here because the energy of it is so delicious. I can hardly wait for this dance. So thank you
Cool.
guys for listening now or in the future. And reach out to Marco or I separately or, whatever. And let us know if you have questions because we are happy to have another conversation or whatever. And we'll make sure to have all the information below for the gaslighting series. And when and and I'm happy to share with all my peeps with Marco's creations as well. So thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
this
you so
conversation.
much. Have a great day, evening, or whatever.